No. Tim, I had surgery here last week, and tomorrow he was going to take this. I was
Township of Edison Zoning Board of Adjustment special meeting of May 21st, 2024 is now in session. Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975 has been published by the annual notice published in the Home News and Tribune on December 18th, 2023, has been posted in the main lobby of Municipal Complex on December 18th, 2023. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Bigno? Here. Ms. Shaw? Here. Mr. Ayat?
here.
Mr. Chopra?
Here.
Mr. Cerrito?
Here.
Mr. Barone?
Here.
Mr. DeVay?
Here.
Mr. Sidaha?
Here.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Here.
And Chairman Kumba?
Here. Madam Secretary, do we have minutes for consideration?
Yes, we do. May 14th, 2024, minutes for approval.
What's the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion made by Vice Chairman O'Gorman, seconded by Mr. Sadata. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cerrito?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Chopra?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Patel? Oh, sorry. Mr. Sidaha?
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Kumba?
Yes on the motion. Madam Secretary, resolutions to be adopted.
Resolution Z1, 2024, 460 Plainfield Ave for approval.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion made by Vice Chairman O'Gorman, seconded by Mr. Sadata. Roll call, please.
Mr. Chopra?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Barone?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. DeVay?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Sidaha?
Yes on the motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Kumba?
Yes on the motion. Thank you, Madam Secretary. We have two announcements. KZ 45, 2023, Joanna Lopez at 2037 Woodbridge Avenue will not be heard this evening. There was improper noticing, and renotice is required. Secondly, KZ 36, 2022 Tivid Lane LLC at 114 to 132 Tivid Lane East. An adjournment has been requested by the applicant. No new date is provided at this time, and new notice will be required. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a special meeting of the Township of Edison Zoning Board of Adjustment. The board is composed of Edison Township residents appointed by the municipal council who volunteer their time and service to the board. The municipal land use law requires that members successfully complete a land use training course administered by the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. This board also holds in-house training conducted by our board professionals. The zoning board abides by the provisions of the municipal land use law in addition to our board's bylaws. The zoning board is a quasi-judicial land use board, which differs from the township planning board. Under the municipal land use law, board members are required to be impartial and are not allowed to discuss any case prior to its consideration before the board at a hearing. All applicants will have the opportunity to present their case before the board, with the opportunity for board members and board professionals to question the applicant and their witnesses. At the conclusion of the applicant's presentation of their case, the case will be open to the public. Residents within 200 feet of the subject property will be heard, followed by residents from outside of 200 feet. All residents will be sworn in. They'll provide their name and address, and they'll be given 6 minutes to comment on the application being considered without the opportunity for a rebuttal. Residents may ask questions of the applicant's professionals, and board professionals. The board requests that these questions are asked prior to any commentary being made on the application. Once commentary begins, the resident's timer will begin. The applicant will be allowed for the opportunity for cross-examination of their witnesses. Under the law, the chair is allowed to stop any commentary which is repetitive or is an attempt to filibuster the board. Further, the chair is allowed to stop any commentary that is irrelevant to the case or prohibited from the board's consideration. Once the public portion is closed, all public comment is ended, unless new testimony is presented by the applicant. Following the closure of the public portion, the applicant will have the right of summation on their application. Following summation, the case will go to the board for decision. This procedure has been followed by the board and is similar to the procedures followed by boards of adjustment statewide. The municipal land use law requires the board to engage in a balancing act. It is not required to strictly apply township ordinances, zoning plan, or master plan. As a board of adjustment, variances are granted when appropriately necessary, following all legal considerations. As has been the case with prior boards, this board will see where we are at if we are in session around 10:30 p.m. I ask that the applicants, professionals, and residents show respect to each other and be civil throughout all proceedings. I ask that you withhold applause, booing, or interrupting of anyone while they are speaking. The chair will not tolerate any outbursts by applicants, professionals, or the public. Further, since most cases are being recorded by a court reporter, I ask that speakers do not speak over one another. Madam Secretary, first case on the agenda, please.
Case Z5, 2023, Juan Grana at 35 Mary Ellen Drive. Applicant is proposing bulk variances to construct a sunroom over the existing paved patio and seeking approval of 2 existing accessory sheds to remain. The following standards have not been met. Maximum impervious coverage required is 30%, proposed is 48%. Side yard required is 10 feet, proposed is 2 feet. Rear yard requirement is 10 feet, proposed is 2 feet. Affected property is located in the RA zone, designated as block number 410.04, lot number 4 on the Edison Township tax map. All noticing paperwork is in order.
Is the applicant here? Okay, if you could just have a seat at the table, please.
Good evening, Mr. Grana. Would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And please state your full name for the record.
My name is Juan Grana, 35 Mary Ellen Drive in Edison.
Good evening. If you would like to tell us what you'd like to do and why you'd like to do it.
Okay, we are looking to put a sunroom above the existing patio. The main reason is, we merged 2 families, and as some of you children know, the older they get, the less they want to come home to their parents. So we're trying to make the house as appealing as possible for them to come to Christmas and holidays. So we're trying to build a sunroom where we can do that. We already did a construction this past year to add an extra bedroom above the garage, so we can provide another bedroom for our grown children who are married, and so they can stay over and enjoy the time with them. We did the pool so the house could be the hub of the family. That's what we wanted to do, to make sure that everybody came back home to us to enjoy the house. And when we did that, the contractor did the pavers. When I first bought the house back in 2005, my parents lived right across the street from where I bought, because I got divorced in 2002. I found a house across the street from my parents, bought that house, but the backyard was already sloped. It wasn't very usable to a growing family. So we lowered the front. We made a retaining wall. We made another area above it so we can use the area, and leveled out the back area so it can be useful for the family. And we're just want to build a patio over the sunroom over the existing patio. So we're not adding any more to the impervious coverage. We just want to be able to build over the existing patio.
Okay, thank you. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Grana?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Dave?
So the sunroom is sitting directly on the patio, or it is sitting on a raised elevated deck?
The contractor's here, and he can answer that question. But there's no patio right now. We're obviously asking permission to be able to build a patio. The sunroom over the existing patio.
I get it. Your building is your I don't have any section here, but the house floor, main floor, is above the ground level, right? 2, 3, 4 feet probably?
Our house is on a slab, so it'll be, we have the slab, or we have our dining area, and then we have the outside patio, which is even with it's not raised, it's even with the existing house, and we're just gonna build on there so we can go from like the kitchen area right into the sunroom.
Same level, and you can go out.
Same level, yeah.
So it is going to be raised.
Yes.
You have the.
It's going to be. It's not going to be raised. The floor is going to be at the same level as the existing house, and obviously we're going to have walls, which are going to be a lot of windows and a fireplace in there for us.
So I do not know how the backyard is draining now. You don't want to obstruct the water, and you have flood situation by putting this floor deck sunroom right over the patio? Just want to make
Right,
sure there
we
is.
have drainage that's included in the existing plan. So that will take care of that.
Right. And it's going to be a conditioned space, right? You will have heat,
Yeah.
AC, everything in the sunroom.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Any other questions for Mr. Grana? Okay, seeing none. Do you have any other witnesses?
Yeah, I'd like to call up our engineer, please.
Okay.
Should I stay here or should I sit somewhere else?
You can stay there in case other questions come up. Thank you.
Sir, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And please state your full name for the record.
Robert Murray.
I think if you just maybe just double check, make sure that microphone's on.
It's working. It's working.
There we go. Can you say your name for the record again, please?
Robert Murray.
Sworn in. Okay. And if you could just please give us a summary of your qualifications?
Yes, I have testified in many boards in Middlesex County, including both boards in the Township of Edison. I have a civil engineering degree from Stevens Institute of Technology from 2017, and I've been a licensed engineer for 3 years now.
And your license are current and in good standing?
Yes.
Great, we'll accept you. You may proceed.
Okay. Our office has submitted an existing condition plan of the site, which includes the existing conditions along with the proposed sunroom. A site visit was conducted by our office to confirm that the items in the existing condition plan are existing as shown. We have confirmed the property better known as 35 Mary Ellen Drive is Lot 4 of Block 410-D in the Township of Edison. The property is approximately 22,000 square feet and is located in the RA zone. The applicant seeks to provide a 825 square foot sunroof addition that is completely on the patio and will not add impervious coverage to the site. The site also has 2 existing swales along the sides of the property to adequately convey stormwater from the rear of the property to Mary Ellen Drive. The applicant is seeking bulk variance for the side and rear yard for the 2 sheds for the accessory uses where 2 feet exists where 10 is required, and for the impervious cover calcs where 30 is the maximum percent, where 48 is provided. And this concludes my testimony on the existing conditions. And if there aren't any questions for me, I would like to call upon the architect.
That's not your job to do. You're gonna be open for questions first, and then we can go to the architect.
Correct.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Murray?
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chairman?
yeah, what's the justification for going 2 feet? Why don't you just comply for the zoning of 10 feet for the sheds?
These sheds are existing. It would require movement, but this is something that the planner can talk about.
Okay.
Does the board have any other questions for Mr. Murray? Okay, seeing none.
I'd like to call up our architect, please.
Thank you, Mr. Grana. So if you want to take the microphone from there and just bring it over to the board, that's fine. So the attorney will swear you in.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. And please, that's not on.
Hello,
There you go. You're good.
Please state your full name.
Antonio Scalise, Scalise.
Mr. Scalise, if you could just give us a summary of your background and qualifications, please.
Sure. I'm a licensed architect in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. I have been an architect since 2005, licensed in 2005. And I've been before many boards. I haven't had the pleasure of going before this board. And I'm the chairman of the planning board in my town of West Long Branch.
We won't hold that against you. But it's your first time here, so hopefully it's a good experience. And your license are current and in good standing?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we'll accept you. You may proceed.
Thank you. Let me just bring this over. So the project came to us where our client was looking to design a sunroom. You could call it a pool house, almost, to provide some amenity spaces towards the pool area. And we created an approximately 32 by 26 sunroom, which you can see in this area here. This rectangle, if you can see my highlight here, is the existing home. And then towards the back of the property, we created this sunroom, which is over the existing deck. I think there was a question about where the height of it is. If you look on my page, hold on. If you look on page A202, it's the rear elevation, drawing number 1. You can see that the addition is kind of low.
Mr. Scalise, we're just going to stop you. So we do not have a copy of that, so we're just going to have to mark it into evidence.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. It's basic floor plans and elevations.
Okay, so our attorney has it.
I might. This looks like it. I think it was it was previously scheduled. Maybe that's why it's not in the packet. I have my old packet. That's
Okay.
probably why.
Okay.
And it's by Parallel Architecture Group?
Yes?
Okay, and it's consisting of 4 pages, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not going to mark it, but I think you might want to give the board a moment to look at what I have.
Sure.
You guys want to take a
Would
look?
it help to pass this board closer, no?
No.
Okay.
Just hang on to it. Here, go ahead. Mr. Scalise, what's the date on that plan, on those plans?
I have January 29th, 2024.
And that's the last revised date, January 20th, 2020?
29.
29.
Yes.
So what he has is June 20th, 2022.
Is there a revision date on the one that you have up there?
No.
Well, that's the date that they
Okay,
received
they
it.
received it.
Yeah, that's not the date
Okay.
of the actual.
Yep. 2022.
You don't have one that says June 20th, 2022? Is that one June 20th, 2022 as well? Can I just see that?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay, so the last set of plans we have are June 20th, 2022.
Get on the microphone.
Oh, the last set of plans that we have are dated June 20th, 2022, and that one you're saying is January 29th, 2024?
4, yes.
Don't have them.
Okay.
No one has them.
But I don't know that anything is different. I'm not sure what you have before you, but this rear addition is the same.
But the problem is that the board should have exactly what you're looking at and testifying to so that they can review it.
I understand.
I don't know how you want to handle that. That's your fault.
Because we had submitted our application before, but we had to withdraw it, and that was part of the plan that was supposed to be in November, but nothing's changed, in our request.
Mr. Scalise, if you could do me a favor and take a look at the plans that I have that were part of an older packet, the ones that I have that are dated June 20th, 2022, and compare them to yours.
Sure.
I
Mr.
just need
Chairman,
you
I
to
have-
certify for the record that there are no changes. So if you
Sure.
could take this one,
Okay, thank you.
If you want to take a few minutes?
take a few minutes.
Okay, all right, so we're going to take a 5-minute recess. board will return to session. Mr. Scalise.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to clarify that what I'm presenting to is dated June 20th, 2022, which should reflect what you have before you.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Again, if we can go to page A202, which is the last page, I just wanted to reference the rear elevation, and I kind of wanted to show that the addition is kind of low. It's only a one-story element. It is 11 foot 9.5 high, and it's essentially a rear covered area that, of course, they're using as a sunroom as well. That's really my testimony, unless there's any questions, of course.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Scalise? Seeing none, you left him speechless.
All right. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Board, I'd like to call my planner, Jim Higgins, please.
You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And just state your full name for the record, please.
James W. Higgins, Higgins.
And Mr.
My
Higgins,
office is at 14 Tilton Drive in Ocean, New Jersey. I am a licensed planner in the state. My license is current, and I have testified before this board and the planning board in Edison on numerous occasions in the past.
we'll accept you as
Thank you.
credentials. Thank you so much. You may proceed.
Basically, I'm here to really talk about the variances. And there are variances, first of all, for the setbacks of the sheds, and then a variance for coverage, lot coverage of building and pavement. And I think that's an important distinction, because your ordinance doesn't say impervious lot coverage. It says coverage of buildings and pavement. With regard to the sheds, one of the board members questioned that, and I questioned that also. And then in walking the site, I realized, first of all, this is a very difficult site. It's 220 feet deep, it's 100 feet wide, so it's deep and narrow. And it has roughly an 8% slope from the rear of the house up to the rear of the site. And the applicant realized he couldn't use that area very much for much of anything, so he terraced it. The two sheds, the one shed is adjacent to the side property line as you're facing the rear of the site to the right, and it's within 2 feet of the fence that's around the site. What's directly opposite on the other side of the fence is a very, very heavy planted area that's a buffer area between the applicant's property and the adjacent property, so that the people on the adjacent property can't even see the shed. That buffer area, the plants extend up above the top of the shed considerably. And it makes a lot more sense from a planning and zoning standpoint to move the shed closer to the fence rather than have a 10-foot area between the fence and the shed that becomes basically a no man's land. It's hard to maintain. It could be used to store things and just become an area for storing things that aren't necessarily used on the site. So it makes more sense to have that shed be closer to the fence, have an area wide enough for maintenance of the back of the shed, but not have an area that can become a nuisance area, which it really would be if it was 10 feet wide. And also it allows the grassed area that's on the front of the shed to be much more usable, a much more efficient use of the land. So I think what was done there is it makes sense. Makes absolute sense from a planning and zoning standpoint. And I think that the zoning alternatives, the planning alternatives are much better by doing that than having that 10-foot area between the shed and the fence when you can't even see the shed from surrounding properties. The little shed at the rear of the property, it's a similar situation where you can't see the shed readily from the adjacent property to the rear. And it makes more sense to have that shed be closer to the fence, also to the 2-foot. That shed would be easy to move 10 feet, but I don't know if it would accomplish anything. The other variance that's necessary is the variance for impervious, or not for impervious, but for pavement and building coverage. The ordinance permits 30%. The application says 48%, but it appears to include the surface of the pool, which isn't pavement. If you take the surface of the pool out, it brings it down to about 44%. The purpose for having a limitation on pavement and building, which is essentially impervious surface that can't drain directly into the ground is, first of all, drainage, to have adequate drainage. And first of all, you've heard the engineer talk tonight about the application, the way the site functions, and that the drainage is adequate. But more importantly, when you look at the type of pavement that's on the site, it's primarily decorative pavers with spaces between the pavers. So while it is paved surface, it's paved surface that allows percolation through the pavers. And in fact, one of the areas of the site is a level, it's part of the terracing of the rear of the site. It's a level area that's covered with the decorative pavers. And that area actually pretty much functions as a detention type basin during heavy rains because it holds the water there and it seeps down through the pavement. The other purpose of having limiting the coverage of building and pavement is aesthetics. And this site, the rear of this site, where you have most of the paved surfaces, is absolutely very, very attractive. It has substantial benefits in terms of aesthetics, first of all, particularly when you're looking at it from the site, from the buildings, from the rear of the site. And furthermore, you can't see it very much from surrounding properties because of the topography and the fencing. So there's no real detriment to having that paved area the way it is, having that amount of paved surfaces. So when I look at this, I think that there are substantial benefits in terms of aesthetics in particular with the rear of the site. In terms of the function of the rear of the site, one of the purposes of the land use law is to have adequate area for a variety of uses, including recreational uses. And you've heard the applicant talk about the fact that the whole purpose of doing what he did in the rear of the site is to have a recreation area for his extended family when they come over. So I think that advances that purpose of the municipal land use law. I think the purpose of the municipal land use law with regard to providing a desirable visual environment is also advanced. So when I look at that, I think that there are substantial benefits to the granting of the variances as requested. I don't see any substantial negative impacts.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Higgins?
Mr. Chair, I do have a question.
Mr. Chhabra?
Mr. Higgins, so to my understanding, there's 3 variances being applied.
Say that again?
There's 3 total variances that are being requested.
There's three total variances, yes.
Okay. Do we have anything on the sheds that you talked about, that you mentioned? Do we have any pictures, not pictures, do we have any blueprints, sketches, dimensions?
The dimensions are on the site plan that was submitted, the existing conditions plan that was submitted.
There's no dimensions on here.
What? Okay, it's shown there. It's not, may not be, the dimensions may not be written out, but the size of it in comparison to the lot is shown there. The dimensions are not. I was under the impression the applicant was going to be bringing pictures, and I don't think he understood. He has pictures on his iPhone. I don't think he understood they had to be printed out and shown to the board.
So my only concern is this: we're requesting for the parties requesting for 3 variances. One is the patio, which we clearly see.
Yes.
But the other 2 variances that are on the table here for the shed,
Yes, yes.
we don't have clear diagrams, pictures.
No, you don't.
Or
And you can't.
any kind of say on what is. I don't even know what the dimensions of the property.
The larger of the 2 sheds matches the house. It's a very attractive shed, but again, it's not visible from off-site. It's screened from off-site. You can't even see it from the road. It's way at the rear of the site, and because of the topography of the site, it's not visible. But it is a very attractive shed.
So I would personally request that I would be able to see these 2 variances on a drawing or such before I would feel comfortable voting.
Okay, that's a fair request.
But we did provide pictures of the back of the house, and you should be able to see the shed on the
Yeah,
right-hand
I
side.
see it. I see it's relatively new shed, but I just, again, I don't, if I don't know the dimensions of it, I understand it's 2 feet away, and I see there's a shed, the size of the fence.
Yeah.
There's nothing more. When there's a patio, that's one variance, but we see clear dimensions, we see the size of it, we see what's going to be inside it, we see there's a powder room inside, there's a bathroom that's being added. Likewise, I would say I would like to see plans or some kind of sketch for those 2 sheds.
Okay. We'll absolutely we'll be able to, we can provide that.
Yeah, so you were asking that the applicant come back again, or?
That was just a request.
Ms. Chhabra, if that's your request, I stand by my board members.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Vice Chairman?
Yes, I would agree. I mean, we need to know what the dimensions of that shed is, all right? And also, I'm still not clear on why you went to 2 feet, why it's not 10 feet.
The 2 feet, I think, is a better alternative, because if you have the 10 feet, first of all, it becomes an area between the fence and the shed that has no purpose other than the fact it's going to be a maintenance problem. It's going to be an area where things are going to be stored that aren't necessarily usable on the site, maybe some excess stones, some excess wood or something like that. And it becomes a maintenance problem. But more importantly, the whole purpose of having the 10-foot setback is to not have a visual impact from the shed on adjacent properties. And that adjacent property has a very, very heavy and a high vegetative screen. You can't see that shed from the adjacent property. The screen actually goes up about 5 or 6 feet above the top of the shed. So there's really no point in setting the shed 10 feet off the property line when it can't be seen from the adjacent properties. It has no impact on them.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Dovey?
so you have 2 sets, they are existing set?
Yes.
And what's the purpose you're using both of them? What's happening big one, what's happening in small one?
There's storage for, patio furniture, blow-up stuff. We have our mother-in-law living with us, after her husband passed away. So, we have some of her, some of the furniture in there, some containers, bicycles, games that we use when the family comes over, like cornhole and, and things like that. That's where we keep, all of that and the pool equipment.
So you are adding such a large sunroom, almost an addition to the house. Are you willing to just get rid of the small set and just use the big one?
I mean, we can do that if, now in the other shed, we have like all the, the lawnmower, the snow blower and stuff like that. But I mean, if that's what the board would want, I mean, we can definitely absolutely be flexible to that.
All right, and where are these sheds now? They are not at this location now, right? You're moving it to this location 2 feet from the property line, correct?
And they're existing, so they're already there.
Same place?
Yeah, I mean,
2 feet away from the property line, that's where they are now?
The sheds are existing, yeah. But like Mr. Higgins said, I mean, there's a ton of trees behind the shed. We have a vinyl fence that's 6 foot tall around the property, so that it really can't be seen. There's a lot of large growth of trees behind that covers the entire shed. So, I mean, the shed can't be seen by our neighbors.
This shed has its own floor, right? If you need to move it, it can be moved, correct?
Yeah, but I mean, that would kind of defeat the purpose of all the improvements that we made to the house. I mean, that would take away 10 feet of the usable space that we can, have, in the grassy area. Like Mr. Higgins said, it becomes an issue of aesthetics, having something that far away from the fence. So it's kind of like a dead area behind there. We're not hurting our neighbors because they can't see the shed at all, and it really improves our quality of life because it allows us to store things that we need stored. So maybe, when we bought the house, and it was, we put a lot of love and effort into the house. We love Edison, we love being here, and having the fence there, it's just much more useful than having it 10 feet away, since we're not hurting our neighbors.
It's a pretty large shed as an accessory to the house. Plus,
Yeah.
you have 22,000 square feet lot. You just move it a little further away from the property line, that's not going to kill you. Just for this application, I mean, it's something to give back while you're adding the sunroom.
I mean, I'd rather give something else back than that, because that would really alter the way that the entire backyard works. I think it's going to make it a lot less attractive. I mean, we used aluminum siding to match the house, so it looks pretty. We've done, what I think is a really good job. If you see the picture of our backyard, it's I think it's pretty attractive. And to move that shed out 10 feet, It
Can
just,
can you scale that and tell me the size of the
Yeah, the
shed?
shed is, I've been advised by the architect, the shed is 10 feet by 34 feet. So it's 10 feet deep by
That's a pretty
34 feet
large
long,
shed.
about 340 square feet.
That's one shed?
And it's from 10 to 12 feet high.
And the small one?
The small one,
my architect is asking me, how much would you allow me to move it? If not the 10 feet, how much would it please the board, to move it to be flexible? Because, we do want to be flexible.
What's the size of the small shed?
6.5 by 6.5.
And how much you are willing to move?
So we had an issue where our neighbor, put a shed up, and I wanted to, call up the town to make sure that everything was copacetic, and they told me that I could get a shed permit and I had a 3-foot setback. When I called Edison and asked for, we were talking about a shed permit, and a shed permit is 3 feet, it's not 10 feet. That's what I was told by somebody in Edison.
Mr. Ayotte.
James?
I don't know who told you that, but that's not the truth.
Okay.
And your zone is 10-foot setback, side and rear, RA. RB is 3 feet. RBB is 5. RA is 10. RAA is 20.
Okay, because our
So-
neighbors right next door has put a shed that's, that we can see from our house every day.
Okay, I'll take a ride out there and take a look at it.
I don't want him getting him in trouble, but, because honestly, I called up when they put it that close, and I talked to somebody, it's like, yeah, the shed permit is, it can be 3 feet, so.
Yeah, it can be if you're in the RB zone, but you're in the RA zone. Oh,
Mr. Ayotte, since you have the microphone, is there any limit on what the size of shed can be? I mean, this seems like a fairly large shed. There's no,
it's a big shed. It's going to be a tough heist to move that over, but no, there is no limit.
Again, how much you are willing to move? That was my question.
Move it out to 5 feet?
All right.
and what's at the base of the shed? It's on the grass?
It has railroad ties and it's gravel.
Okay, okay.
So we would have to like do an entire new foundation for it, at a considerable cost.
So,
Yeah.
listen, so you just
strike the last remark.
so you just made me rest easier, because if it was on grass and you're 2 feet away from the property line, that has no drainage system, so the roof leader comes down and the water just goes there, and you're going to be you'd be draining 2 feet off of your neighbor's property. So the fact that you're telling me that you have those railroad ties and the stone makes me feel better, because then the water has a place to go. So you answered the correct answer. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Dave. Any other questions?
Hey, Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chairman?
so I'm not clear on this impervious. It's 48%. Was this approved prior to this pool and the pavers? Or you just put it in?
No, that was, we had a permit and the inspector came out and, it was approved. We passed inspection.
All right, thank you.
And I just had one more question. So, Mr. Higgins, you had stated that the impervious was at 44 if you include the pool?
if you don't include the pool,
You
it's
don't
at
include the pool?
44.
Okay, okay, all right.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
Absolutely, Mr. Ayotte.
When did you get the permit for the pool?
2011?
2011?
Yeah.
And was that with the patio as well?
Yeah, they came out to inspect everything. It was Anthony Sylvan Pools that did it,
But our inspectors came out to look at it, inspect it?
as far as I know, yeah.
Okay, but you do have a permit from Edison Township Zoning Department from 2011?
Yeah, might have been early.
Earlier?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, yeah, that's when we had the pool done, like 2010, 2011, something like that. But
Okay,
they
yeah.
did come out, they did inspect everything. So yeah.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr.
I-
Chairman?
Honestly, I didn't realize that there was anything wrong until we applied for these permits and we got denied. I had no idea that we were not in where we were supposed to be.
That's all right. So in reference to the permit from 2011, you have the construction department approval? It was all passed?
Yeah, it was me, and I don't know if we have the paperwork anymore, but, you know, I haven't heard anything about it since then, and, you know, they passed all, you know, we were told by the pool company that all inspections were done and everything was fine. You know, I'm sure that, because, they had to come in and then check the electrical and all that too, so,
Okay, yes.
so,
I wasn't here at that point in time, but if they were checking the electrical and the plumbing came out, then it sounds like they got permits. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. All right, so, you have anything else to add?
you know, we love being in Edison. When my wife divorced me, you know, I bought the house right in front of my parents. You know, my mom still lives right across the street from me. And all we want to do is just make a beautiful place for our family to come and enjoy and, you know, keep our elder kids that are, you know, out on their own and they're like 2 hours away, you know, for them to come over and sleep over. You know, we just put an addition on the house, put another bedroom so they could do that. And, you know, we're, you know, trying to be, you know, they're trying to do the right thing, you know, and we're not trying to get away with anything. We're just trying to make our house as beautiful as possible, as useful as possible, and just be a good addition to the town of Edison.
All right. Stop. Okay.
I'd be happy to remove the smaller shed. That helps.
Okay. So that would be a condition, if so approved? Okay. Anyone else on the board? Okay. All right. That conclude your case?
Yes, sir.
Great. So we'll now go out to the public. Anyone within 200 feet of subject property wanting to be heard. If you're within 200 feet of subject property, you received a notice via certified mail. Seeing none, anyone outside 200 feet of subject property wanting to be heard? Seeing none, can I get a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close public portion. Second.
Motion made by Vice Chairman O'Gorman, seconded by Mr. Sadato. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Public portion is now closed, and I'll go to the board for decision.
All right, Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Dabe.
I make a motion to approve this applications. This is a de minimis request. It is not detriment to the neighborhood with two conditions that applicant agreed to get rid of 6.5 by 6.5 existing small shed. And the big shed, 20-foot by 34-foot shed would be moved 5 foot away from property lines from both property lines, back and the side.
Mr. Chairman?
Vice Chairman.
And I'd like to add that a condition would be that you provide the certificate of approval or the certificate of occupancy for the pool work from the permit from 2011 for the zoning and the construction permit.
Do you second the motion? Condition.
Second motion.
All right. Motion made by Mr. Dabe, seconded by Vice Chairman O'Gorman. Roll call, please.
Okay, I have a question.
I can't. We're on roll call.
Sorry.
Mr. Cerrito?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Chabra?
No to the motion.
Mr. Brown?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. DeVay?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Sadaha?
Yes on the motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Kumba?
Yes on the motion. You're approved.
Thank you very much, Board. And I want to thank Rachel Ruggiero. She was quite a big help getting everything together. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for working with us. Madam Secretary, next case on the agenda, please.
Case number Z6, 2024, Goldberg Builders, LLC, 2076 Woodbridge Ave. Applicant is seeking bulk and use variances to propose a two-story multi-use building, commercial and residential. The following standards have not been met. Max FAR permitted is 0.3%, proposed is 42%. Max lot coverage permitted is 65%, proposed is 71.1%. Minimum front yard required is 25 feet, proposed is 0 feet. Affected property is located in the OS2 zone, designated as block number 346, lot number 2.02 on the Edison Township tax map. All noticing paperwork is in order.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Thomas Roselli from the law firm Roselli and Roselli. I am here on behalf of Larry Sachs, who's the attorney of record. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it tonight. I am representing, as you have heard, excuse me, Goldberg Builders, LLC. We're located right here in Edison, New Jersey. As you heard, this application is a bifurcated application. Tonight, we are here for the use in bulk variances. If the board is gracious enough to grant them, either now or in the future, we will be back for a site plan approval. We are not doing the site plan this evening. As you have heard, this application is located at 2076 Woodbridge Avenue, Block 346, Lot 2.02. It's in a OS2 zone. Currently, the property is vacant. We are proposing a project for a two-story mixed-use building with site improvements. And as I said, tonight we're dealing with the use in bulk variances. I have the owner here. I expect to be calling two witnesses, Paul Fletcher, who is our engineer, and Colleen McGurk, which is our planner. If it pleases the board, I'd like to call Paul Fletcher.
Without objection.
Would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
State your full name.
Yes, Paul J. Fletcher.
Good evening, Mr. Fletcher. If you could just please give us a brief summary of your background and qualifications, please.
Certainly. I'm a licensed professional engineer and professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I'm the principal of Fletcher Engineering and have been for 32 years. I've been accepted in front of this board, the planning board in Edison, numerous other boards in Middlesex, Union, and Monmouth counties on numerous occasions.
And you're requesting to be accepted as both an engineer and a planner?
No, we have a planner here.
Okay, okay.
We have a planner, Colleen McGurk.
Okay, so just as an engineer?
Just as an engineer.
Okay, and your engineering license is current and in good standing?
Yes, it is.
Okay, then we'll accept you. You may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Fletcher, I know you had an opportunity to visit the site. Could you please give the board the benefit of what you saw and what you have prepared?
Certainly. The subject property, it's known commonly as 2076 Woodbridge Avenue, Lot 2.02 in Block 346. It's on the northwest corner of Thomasine Street and Woodbridge Avenue. It's currently a vacant lot, is slightly irregular. It's 100 feet deep, and it varies in width from 64 to 75 feet. Has a total area of 7,038 square feet. And as has been mentioned, it's in the OS2 zone. Currently, the lot is vacant. It generally slopes from the front of the property at Woodbridge Avenue towards the rear. Thomasine Street is a one-way street going away from Woodbridge Avenue. So any traffic entering the site would be coming south from Woodbridge Avenue, entering the site, and when leaving the site, they would be going again south on Thomasine Street. We have a conceptual layout that the board, I believe, has. Where the applicant proposes a two-story multi-use building located at the front of the building. It would be 30 feet in depth, 57 feet in width. It would be set right at the property line in the front. It would have on the facing the building from Woodbridge Avenue, would be 6 feet side yard on the right. It would be 12 feet setback to Thomasine Street right away. Excuse me. As has been mentioned, this is a bifurcated application. We're not here to seek site plan approval at this point, but we have got a conceptual parking layout. We're fully conforming with the parking requirements for the intended use. When it comes to the variances, we'll leave that to our professional planner.
Any questions for our engineer?
That's my job, counsel.
I apologize.
It's okay. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Fletcher?
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chairman?
where's the parking going to be located at?
It's going to be located behind the building with access off Thomasine Street. There'll be 90-degree parking from a central aisle. The aisle will be 24 feet wide, and there'll be 18-foot deep spots at 90 degrees to that center aisle.
Vice Chairman? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Fletcher?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Sadada?
How many spots of parking you are proposing?
We have a total of 11. One of those is a handicap spot. 2 of those are EV, electric vehicle charging station spots. So a total of 11 actual spots, and we have credit for the 2 EV spots, giving us a total, for zoning purposes, of 13 spaces.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Fletcher?
Mr. Chairman?
Vice Chairman?
And there'll be sidewalks installed? along
Yeah,
the-
yes. There's a sidewalk along Thomasine Street and along Woodbridge Avenue. On basically on 3 sides of the building. Along the back, there'll be a 5-foot wide walk. Along the Thomasine Street side, there'll be a 5-foot walk, and both of those adjacent to the building.
The 5-foot space, the existing macadam, you don't own that property? That's the next door neighbor? In reference to the bike shop? The bike,
Between the 2 buildings, correct.
correct.
Well, yeah, actually, we do own that property. Our property line goes right up to his building.
So you own that macadam?
Correct.
And you'll comply with Mr. Bignell's planning report in reference to?
We can go through, we'll go through
Okay.
Mr.
All right,
Spinell's
sorry.
planning board, point by point.
Yes.
Okay, all right, so there's a good opportunity. So, Mr. Bignell?
Mr. Chairman, the report requires a little more information on my questions. First, the engineering plan and architectural plans don't match square footage wise. I believe the one plan says 750 square feet, and the other one has 855. Parking was calculated on the larger number, so I have no problem with that, but they should correct it. The basement, that's just going to be for storage? That should be a condition only, Mr. Chairman.
Agreed.
Okay. What's the office use in each apartment going to be used for? Because that could easily be converted into a bedroom area. I know it doesn't have a closet, but if the board approves that, they should make it a condition. So if there's ever a problem down the road, they can say, no, you're not allowed to have a 2-bedroom. It's a 1-bedroom.
My client would agree to that condition. The office is basically, in today's day and age, a lot of at-home office use rather than going to the offices. My client would agree to the condition that they can never be used as bedrooms.
And I have no problem with that. That's fine, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I only asked too that the parking for the residential be separated from the commercial so that they're dedicated spaces with a signage. Because RSIS requires that you have that parking.
That would be agreeable.
Okay. Any kind of utilities underground, things like that should be put underground as much as you can. Meters, things like that should be out of sight on the building. So it's not on the front yard or in front of the property, so it doesn't show up. I did ask for like a small bike rack in case they don't even have cars, they want to ride bikes. I mean, that's something, a little more green. So I don't personally have, if they don't put the bike rack in, I don't have a real problem with that, but it would be nice to have that for the residents since there's no outdoor space.
That would be agreeable. I think we'll be able to flesh that out during the site plan approval.
Yes, and then the same thing with when you do the site plan, you have to show me where the refuge storage is going to be.
Absolutely.
All right, and then I don't believe it's just a traffic statement, not a traffic impact statement, just something that addresses any kind of traffic out there and making sure you're not, causing any additional issues. This is a very low volume type of activity, so I don't see it as a major issue. And then, like the attorney said in the beginning, this is going to require preliminary and final site plan at the end, new application, if you grant the use and the bulks. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Bignell. Mr. Fletcher, with regard to point I on Mr. Bignell's report, is there any, do you envision, is there going to be a dumpster on site to handle the recycling and trash, or?
It's not expected that there would be a dumpster. There would be an enclosure with the containers.
The containers, okay. Okay, all right, thank you. Does the board have any other questions for Mr. Fletcher? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Fletcher.
Certainly.
If it may please the board, I'd like to call Colleen McGurk, our professional planner.
Good evening.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And state your full name for the record.
Colleen McGurk.
And if you could just please give us a brief summary of your background and qualifications?
Yes, I'm a licensed planner. My license is current. I'm also a member of AICP. I received my master's in urban planning from Boston University. We won't say what year. The name of my firm is Swick, Stahl, and McGurk Associates. My partner left, so I'm now the full owner. Haven't changed the name yet. I've testified before Edison and multiple other boards within New Jersey, Piscataway, Old Bridge, Woodbridge, East Brunswick, to name a few.
And your license are current in good standing?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great, you may proceed.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Bignell.
I only have one objection. She went to Boston College and didn't go to Rutgers.
It is noted.
Only kidding, only kidding.
Ms. McGurk, if you could give the board your take on this application.
Yes, thank you. I have reviewed the application, the ordinance, the 2003 master plan, and the 2011 re-exam. The site plan by Fletcher Engineering dated 12/28/23 and visited the site on March 27th. The property in question, Block 346, Lot 2.02, at 2076 Woodbridge Avenue, contains 7,038 square feet and is an irregular-shaped property and is located at the intersection of Woodbridge Avenue and Thomasine Street. So tonight we are asking the board to approve this mixed-use project for a commercial space and 3 one-bedroom apartments, each use consisting of 750 square feet. The first floor would contain the commercial space and apartment A, and the second floor would contain apartment B and C. The property is within the OC2 zone office service district. And the zone permits medical, dentistry, and other professional services, business offices, and banks. Single-family dwellings are also permitted, but a mixed use would be more appropriate for an undersized corner lot on this busy road, which is classified as a principal arterial roadway. The proposed mixed use is not permitted in this zone and therefore requires a D1 variance, but the location is ideally suited for commercial use and is also appropriate for residential apartment use. The commercial use would benefit from the site visibility and drive-by traffic, while the residential is a good use since it will provide much-needed housing. A floor area ratio variance is also required, and there are multiple bulk variances which I will get into later on. The 2003 master plan classifies this property for commercial use, and the 2011 re-exam is silent on any new recommendations. The proposed use is consistent with the master plan goals of keeping well-designed anti-sprawl neighborhoods, to capitalize on opportunities for redevelopment, to be consistent with recommendations in the State Development and Redevelopment Plan for metropolitan planning areas, to encourage future developments at appropriate locations and intensity in accordance with transportation and environmental capacities and anti-sprawl initiatives, and provide for future growth and development of Edison's rateable base. The property is located in a PA1 metropolitan planning area, and the mixed-use commercial and residential are consistent with the goals of the state plan. Page 38 of the master plan goals and objectives states, provide housing opportunities for all groups, family sizes, and income levels, and continue to encourage diversity in the type and character of available housing, promoting an opportunity for varied residential communities. The surrounding area uses consist of multiple commercial uses. To the north across Woodbridge Ave is a post office and several law offices. Directly to the west is Ryder Education of New Jersey. To the east is House of Cars, a car dealership, and to the south is an open area and a parking lot. The parking lot also has driveway access to the Jewish facility, which is located 2 lots west and is adjacent to the Ryder Education Commercial Building. The stated purpose of the OS2 zoning district is to provide a reasonable use of land for the non-residential purposes, but at the same time maintain a residential presence. The relief that is required for a D1 use variance must satisfy the positive and negative criteria. There are several ways to do this. The main point, though, is that the general welfare would be served because the existing use is particularly suited to the proposed use. The proposed commercial would be one of the permitted uses as listed in the Edison ordinance, and they are all low-intense uses. The uses are very limited, so a larger commercial space would most likely be difficult to fill. A low-intense office would be very compatible with residential apartments. Also, this is an undersized lot, and many of the permitted uses would not function well in a small lot, such as the medical or dental office. Therefore, combining a small commercial use with residential is a good use of this vacant property. Also, this is an existing vacant lot, which according to the tax assessor's office has been vacant since 2011. It was previously an AC and TV repair shop with an apartment above, so a similar use to what we are proposing. A D4 floor area ratio variance is also required. The maximum permitted is 0.30, whereas we are proposing 0.48. But the allowable building coverage of 28% is not being exceeded. The allowable building coverage is 25%, and we are proposing 24.3% with a 2-story structure. 2 stories are permitted in this zone. If the lot were the minimum required 7,500 square feet and the building max of 25%, and the building was the permitted 2 stories, then the floor area ratio would be 0.50. We are proposing less than that at 0.48. Also, the permitted first floor building coverage is 1,875 square feet, which would only allow the second story to be 375 square feet. This would be an inefficient use of space, as would limiting the structure to 1 story. The lot can accommodate this building since we are providing more than the required parking. We get the credit for the 2 EV stalls. We are meeting the required side and total yard setbacks with 6 feet and 70 feet. The only new bulks needed are the front yard setback of 25 feet, which is required, whereas 0 is proposed, which for this use on a corner lot is preferable and historically exists with multiple uses in the area. The other variance is for lot coverage, but this can be mitigated and the negative impacts reduced or eliminated through good design, green techniques, and attractive landscaping. I do have a short PowerPoint presentation. I know the board received the handout, if we wanted to go through that, or it could be electronic. Okay.
There's like a little login thing to go on.
I have my laptop.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
Mr. Bignow.
If you have colored renderings, I don't believe you need to see a slideshow. The board can easily go follow along.
Is there anything different?
That's fine. No,
I
it's
mean,
just more impressive.
we do that with telephone, and we use the paper. So it's up to you.
You could proceed.
Yeah, why waste the paper? You guys all have it.
Because they can't see it anyway, unless the gentleman in the back wants to see
What I
it.
was thinking.
You know.
The first image is just.
You can just bring the microphone closer to you.
The first image is just of the property itself, the vacant lot, 2076 Woodbridge Avenue. The second picture is just a different view, which shows also the adjacent building, the adjacent lot with the existing commercial building. And then the property to the rear of Woodbridge Avenue, which shows a driveway access to the Jewish facility. That's a front view of Ryder Education of New Jersey, which is located at 2070 Woodbridge Avenue. And it shows it with no front yard setback. That is, this is just to show the area. That's the Rabbi Jacob Joseph School to the west, which is adjacent to the Writers' Education of New Jersey. Yeah, I think I have the same one, but the lot behind, which shows the Rabbi Jacob School. That's the car dealership, which is directly to the east across Thomasine Street. The post office, which is across Woodbridge Avenue, no front yard setback. That is a side view of a mixed-use restaurant with apartment above at 2143 Woodbridge Avenue, which seems to have total impervious coverage. It shows the parking area and the building right directly on the sidewalk. Thank you. There's a mixed-use restaurant with apartment above at 2143 Woodbridge Avenue. Again, also no front yard setback. There's a mixed-use barber shop, which is located at 2223 Woodbridge Avenue. Barber shop on the first floor, apartment above. There is some distance from the sidewalk, but there's a sidewalk with stairs and impervious coverage. That's the side view of the barber shop with the apartments. Another view of the parking area for the barber shop and the apartments. That's a mixed-use retail with residential above at 2177 Woodbridge Avenue. And the side view. That's a childcare use at 2027 Woodbridge Avenue. No front yard setback. And a mixed-use restaurant with 2 apartments above at 2024 Woodbridge Avenue. Also no front yard setback, and it's a corner lot. And the last one was just a view of 2 office uses across the street northwest of this property on Woodbridge Avenue.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Brunel.
Yeah, I just have one question. How many of those uses that you just gave were permitted? I don't believe any of them are permitted in the OS2 zone.
I wasn't using that as a way to justify permitted use, just showing what's historically in the neighborhood.
But it is a mixed neighborhood, so what you're proposing really kind of fits in. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because I don't believe like restaurants or,
No.
things like that are not permitted in there, but they're there. So they're, it's close to what's out in the neighborhood.
And that goes along actually with one of my questions was that there are other mixed use properties in the area.
Yes.
Correct. Okay.
Yes.
And then similarly to the 0-foot setback, there are other properties in the area that have 0-foot setback.
Yes, multiple other properties.
Okay.
They
All
are
right.
older. Many of them are not permitted in the OS2 zone.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Does the board have any questions with regard to the planning testimony?
Oh, I'm not finished.
Oh, you're not
sorry.
done. I'm sorry. Apologies.
Just thought I'd, mix it up and keep
Mr.
things
McDowell
interesting.
interrupted first, so I just jumped in the pool. So,
Yeah, I'll get to my special reasons for
go
the
ahead.
approval of the D1
You
use
can
variance.
proceed. I apologize.
Thank you. The project meets several goals of the MLUL, including Goal A, to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in the state in a manner which will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. The property will be well-designed and provide services and housing which will meet the needs of Edison residents. Goal G, to provide sufficient space and appropriate location for a variety of agriculture, residential, recreational, commercial, and industrial uses, and open space, both public and private, according to the respective environmental requirements in order to meet the needs of all New Jersey citizens. The property can accommodate both the commercial use and the 3 residential use units, and this mixed use is well-suited to this corner on a busy roadway and serves as a transitional uses to the single-family dwellings on Thomasina Street. Goal J, to promote the conservation of historic sites and districts, open space, energy resources, and valuable natural resources in the state, and to prevent urban sprawl and degradation of the environment through improper use of land. The existing site will be revitalized with the new building and site improvements, and sprawl reduced by developing an existing vacant lot with 2 compatible uses. Goal N, to promote utilization of renewable energy resources, and this would be the 2 proposed electric vehicle stations. We are requesting 4 bulk variances, 2 for front yard setback, 1 for exceeding the maximum permitted impervious coverage, and 1 for the existing undersized lot. The front yard setback requirement is 25 feet, whereas we are proposing no setback on Woodbridge Avenue and 12 feet on Thomasine Street. This is a principal arterial roadway with multiple structures that have 0 setbacks from Woodbridge Avenue. Much like a main street, it is preferable for walkability and a downtown feel to have the parking to the rear and the structures close to the sidewalk. Therefore, we are requesting this variance as a better zoning alternative than what the ordinance requires. As the photos showed, there are many examples of mixed-use commercial residential structures with little or no setback from Woodbridge Avenue. The lot becomes narrower towards the rear. The front yard width is 75 feet, and then further towards the rear, it narrows down to 64 feet, which makes it difficult to construct an adequate-sized building, and the proposed driveway access is safer and will function better on Thomasine Street than if it were along the front of the property. The size and shape of this lot does present a hardship. The architecture of the proposed building will be consistent with the buildings in the area. Proposed are multiple attractive facade elements, including metal, painted panel, brick, and concrete block, which all combine to create an aesthetically pleasing exterior facade. The roof line will have a glass and metal railing, and all four corners of the building will have a decorative metal cornice, frieze, and architrave. There will also be a carved wood wall mounted sign for the address. So it will fit in nicely along Woodbridge Avenue and will create an aesthetically pleasing appearance and will provide a benefit to the neighborhood as opposed to a vacant lot. The impervious coverage maximum permitted is 65%, whereas we are proposing 79.1%. We are proposing all of the typical stormwater management techniques, but in addition to those, we plan to employ several green techniques such as rain gardens or a rain barrel. The size and shape of this lot presents a hardship, but also any negative impacts of the increased impervious coverage can be mitigated with the additional green stormwater management techniques. The lot area, which is existing 7,038 square feet, whereas 7,500 is required. The undersized lot is an existing condition, and the severely undersized lots 2A, 3, and 4 will all combined in 2021. It is my professional opinion that this variance can be granted without substantial detriment, and the benefits of the proposed use outweigh any potential negative impacts to the zone. There is no substantial detriment to the public good, and the use variance can be reconciled with and will not substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan and the zoning ordinance because of several goals of the master plan are being advanced, such as provide for future growth and development of Edison's rateable base, encourage well-designed anti-sprawl land development, and is consistent with established neighborhoods and land use patterns, and consistent with recommendations in the State Development and Redevelopment Plan for metropolitan planning areas, and capitalize on opportunities for redevelopment. Other consistencies with the master plan are the desire for pedestrianism and to promote and accelerate growth in already developed areas. It is my professional opinion that the municipal land use law would be advanced by the proposed deviation from the zoning ordinance requirements, and the benefits substantially outweigh any detriment. That is the end of my testimony.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions with regard to planning testimony? Seeing none. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have no further witnesses.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll now go out to the public. If there's anyone within 200 feet of subject site wanting to be heard, if you're within 200 feet, you've received a notice via certified mail. Sir, you please approach. Now you can go to the podium right there.
Sir, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I will.
Please state your full name for the record and provide your address.
Yes, my name is William Turkis. I live at 728A Ralston Plaza, Monroe Township, and I am the chairman of the board for Rider Education in New Jersey. It's a nonprofit C3 corporation, and we are a subcontractor for the state of New Jersey motor vehicle, providing educational programs and services. Our property has a two-car garage and room for two vehicles to park in the rear of the building.
Sir, I'm going to interrupt you really quick. I apologize. The address that you provided was within Monroe Township. Can you state which property you own?
Okay, Rider Education of New Jersey is located at 2070 Woodbridge Avenue, adjacent to the vacant lot.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our property has a two-car garage, room for two vehicles to turn around and park in the rear of the building. One of the PowerPoints that was distributed shows the driveway that exists now and access to the garage. We've been there since 1995. We've always had access to our property in the back, and there's really never been a dispute. We've always been a good neighbor. One of the things that we would like to do is figure out how we're going to get back to access to the back of our building. We have some concerns about safety. We do know that the building next door burned down, and we wonder how fire protection would ever get in there if they needed to. We also worry about light and ventilation for our building with that small, if they come, all our windows are located on that side. Okay, so we have 2 full-time employees that need access to our parking spaces. They're both Edison residents, long-term Edison residents, and our business is conducted mostly electronically. So the building provides excellent location for us since we don't have traffic coming in and out as other commercial buildings. It's primarily used just for office work. Our refuse is removed by private service, which removes to the backyard, which we'd have limited access to that. So that's one of our major concerns. There's no allowance for parking on Woodbridge Avenue, and when they put up this building, there'll be limited access on the side streets also. So we have to concern ourselves of what our employees are going to do. And hopefully we can work out access and waste removal and continue to operate where we've been. We've been, as I said, we've been there since 1995, and I think we've been good neighbors and cooperative with the community.
Mr., let me just make sure since he's on timer.
I just have a question for him, that's all.
Okay. Rachel, just pause the timer? Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Boudin.
Okay. So the asphalt drive that you're talking about, that's on the applicant's property, not on your property?
Well, it's always been jointly used when ACA.
Well, to answer the question, is the asphalt driveway is on his property, not yours?
Yes.
And so do you have an easement that says you can ride on that property?
Nothing written that we had. We've just always had access and community use of it.
And how long have you done, how long have you been driving on it?
Since 1995, when we bought the building.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Boudin.
I'm not sure exactly where his property line is, but that adjacent garage on the plan, if the applicant is willing, I don't have no problem with them traversing that driveway. There's a 24-foot aisle, and just open the driveway there, and they can get access to their 2 cars. Do you know what I'm talking about, sir?
Yes, I do.
All right, so it would be a variant situation because you're paving within the property line, but that would, it's going to be landscaped and everything, so I have no issues with them accessing the property from the 24-foot aisle in that parking lot. And they could probably easily do that if the applicant's agreeable to that.
Mr. Roselli.
We'd be agreeable.
Well, but I'm trying to get the applicant.
The applicant's more than agreeable with that. Matter of fact, when we heard these concerns for the first time this evening, that was one of the possible solutions we've already started discussing with the gentleman.
So let me ask the next question. Mr. Fletcher, will that work? Can you design it on the site plan?
Mr. Fletcher, you're just going to need general
You need to come back up and talk to us.
Yes, I've already looked at this scenario. There's more than adequate room. We can put a depressed curb at the end. We can provide access to the rear of that property safely. It won't interfere with our parking. It'll be entirely within the 24-foot wide aisle.
And you'll grant an easement, and so that gentleman will never have a problem with this again. So
There'll be a
any future owners.
In our site plan, we will have a cross-access easement, something that we can have filed. The owner of our property and their property, they'll come to some agreement for that purpose. But
Okay,
yes,
and
we're totally agreeable.
Can you also include in that easement that that gentleman has a right to maintain his property? Because it is on your property line. I know I'm asking you to do it, but it's an existing condition, and that would help these folks.
I would think that would be an appropriate condition as well. I'm sure the applicant would be agreeable to that.
Sir, are you satisfied with that?
You could come back to the podium.
Yes, we would be agreeable.
Okay. And then you have 3.5 minutes left if you'd like to continue your testimony.
I'm fine.
You're good. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else within 200 feet of subject site wanting to be heard? Is there anyone outside of 200 feet wanting to be heard? Can I get a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close public portion.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chairman O'Gorman, second by Mr. Sadata. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Public portion is now closed. Council, do you have any summation before going to the board?
You've heard the testimony of our experts. We believe we've shown the positive and negative criteria that's required. We believe we showed that it does further the intent of the master plan. We are asking that the appropriate use and bulk variances be approved. Obviously, we have to come back for a site plan since this is a bifurcated application. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, and we'll go to the board.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Dave?
I'll make a motion to approve the application. The applicant has met all of the negative and positive criteria. The site is particularly suited for the intended use. The use is not detriment to the public good or public safety as appropriate. This motion also includes the following conditions. All the 3 rental units will be 1-bedroom apartment only. The office cannot be used as a 2nd bedroom. The architecture plans do not match the square feet as shown now. Applicant would resubmit the plans. There would be designated parking space for residential separately from the commercial use. Applicant will come back to the board for the site plan approvals. The basement would be strictly for the storage use only, will not be used for any other purpose. Applicant also agrees to provide an easement access from the rear of the parking lot to the back of the property for the property owner of 2076 Woodbridge Avenue. This motion will incorporate all of the testimony of the applicant, attorney, planners, engineers, and members of the board. It will also incorporate all the conditions just mentioned.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Dave, seconded by Mr. Sadata. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cerrito?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Chabra?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Barone?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. DeVay?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Sadaha?
Yes on the motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Kamba?
Yes on the motion. You have unanimous 7-0 approval. This case is approved.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you back for site plan approval.
Yes, you will. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Madam Secretary, is there any other business come before the board this evening?
That'll be all.
All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Sadata, seconded by Vice Chairman O'Gorman. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Board stands adjourned.